Oh my days, look how awesome this is. We've got day mode, we've got night mode. So we've got cheeky little sun there and a cheeky little moon with stars and clouds for the sun. So we're going to do this in React. We're going to be creating this toggle in React. And it's really simple. The actual toggle functionality is pretty much your run-of-the-mill toggle component. We're going to be creating it from scratch, but most of this magic lies in CSS. So that's going to be the focus of this video. And as always, the code for this tutorial, I will leave a link to it, to the GitHub repo in the description below. So let's actually start creating this then. Before we do that, remember to subscribe to my channel. Please subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to grow it. Drop this a thumbs up. Comment down below. Even if you didn't find it useful, say this was a really bad tutorial. Please never make any more tutorials. Obviously, I'm joking. Please don't do that. But drop a comment down below if you liked the video, if you found it useful. And let's actually start creating some code then. Okay, so as per usual, I've created a new React app using create React app. And I've just removed everything from the app component, aside from the top level div with the class name app. So from here then, in the source directory, let's create a new folder and call it toggle with a capital T, toggle like that. And we'll create index.js in there, as well as style.css. And then in index.js, we'll import React from React, and then also import style.css. Then we will create a export default function toggle and return a div with class name toggle. And let's then import in app.js. Let's import the toggle component from toggle and render that toggle component then in there within the app component. So obviously we're not going to see anything on the screen right now because we've got no styles associated with this toggle component. So let's target this toggle class name in style.css within the toggle directory. Let's go toggle and let's give it a height of 100 pixels, a width of 200 pixels, and a border radius of 50 pixels. Then we'll give it a border of 1 pixel solid black, just so we can see the outline of the toggle. And if we take a look in the browser then, there we go. We can see we've got our toggle outline there. And let's actually move it to the center of the screen. So to do that, all we need to do is in app.css, let's give this a display of flex for the app class name. And then in toggle in style.css, let's just give it a margin of auto. Also back in app.css, let's give this a margin top of 100 pixels. And let's take a look in the browser. Okay, there we go. So we've got the toggle component central on the screen now. So let's start actually adding some proper styles to this then. So back in the code, in style.css, in the toggle component, we want the background for the toggle. The initial state is going to be day. So we want that nice sort of sky blue gradient color that I showed you at the start. So let's give that then a background image of linear gradient. And it's going to go from aqua to sky blue. So let's take a look in the browser. And there we go. We've got our nice sky background there. So let's then let's first remove this border. We don't need that border black anymore. Then in toggle index.js, within the toggle class here, let's add a new div and give that a class name of notch. So this is going to be the toggle notch. And then let's target this notch class name then in style.css. Let's target that notch. Let's give it a height of 90 pixels, a width of 90 pixels, a border radius of 50%. So this will shape the notch like a circle. Then we want a background of yellow because this is our sun. So let's take a look then. And there we go. We just need to position this sun then a little bit down and to the right. So there's a bit of spacing on the left-hand side of the sun and from the top. So let's give it a position of absolute, a top of 5 pixels and left 5 pixels. And also let's give this a box shadow of 0, 0, 5 pixels and yellow. So it'll give us that sort of shining look, so it looks like it's glowing a little bit. But also before we take a look in the browser, we need to add a position relative to the toggle. So then let's take a look in the browser, and there we go. I don't know if you can actually see that, but let's actually zoom in a little bit here. We can see on the outline of the sun here, we've got that sort of yellow shine looking thing. So that's the box shadow there. And okay, yeah, this is actually looking really good already. So all we need to do then is probably next step, I'd say add some clouds. So instead of calling these clouds, I'm going to call it a shape, because in the completed project, we're going to make those cloud shapes turn when we go into night mode. It's going to turn into those stars. So we're going to call it shapes instead of clouds. So let's go back to the code and add those shapes then. So in index.js for the toggle component, then we want just down from this notch div, then we want to add a div. We want to add another div, and within this div, we're going to have our shapes. So let's add a couple of divs in here. So the class names are going to be shape. So let's copy that. We're going to have 4 shapes in total, and the first 2 are going to be small. So these are going to be small clouds. Then the next one is going to be a medium-sized cloud, and then a large-sized cloud. So let's actually target these shape classes then in style.css. Let's go shape here, and we want to add a position of absolute and a background of white smoke, and then a border radius of 50%. So let's target that small shape first then. Let's go shape.sm. We want the height to be 5 pixels, the width to be 50 pixels. We want a top of 50% and a left of 60%. So let's take a look then in the browser just to see what that first shape looks like. There we go, we've got our small cloud there. And by the way, just feel free to, if we go back to the code, feel free to just mess around with the heights and the top and left and things. I've kind of just selected random values here, and obviously not spending too much time tweaking it, but if you want to spend a bit more time tweaking it just to change the position of these shapes, feel free to do so. All you need to do is adjust the top and left and things, but I'm going to keep it like that for now. So with that said, let's crack on with the next shape size then. That's going to be medium. Let's give it a height of 10 pixels, a width of 75 pixels, a top of 25%, left of 25%, and that should be good to go. So let's take a look then in the browser, and there we go, we've got our medium shape. So then all we need then is the large shape. So let's go shape.lg. It's going to have a height of 15 pixels, a width of 100 pixels, a bottom of 20 pixels. So it's going to raise this 20 pixels from the bottom of the toggle, and a left of 25%. So again, let's take a look, and there we go. We actually want this large shape. I want it to be behind the sun. I don't want both of these clouds to be in front of the sun. So to do that, we just need to add a Z index to this notch or the sun. So let's go back to the code and find the notch class. Let's give it a Z index of 1. But what this is going to do is, if we take a look in the browser, now both of these clouds are behind. So we need to add a Z index to the medium shape to just bring that medium shape just in front of the sun. So let's give this then a Z index of 2 and take a look in the browser. And there we go. So our medium shape is covering the sun and our large is behind the sun. Okay, so from here then, let's actually start creating the night mode for the toggle. So to do that, first of all, we need to add a couple of props to the toggle component. We want to, let's destructure them from here then. We want toggled and we want on click. So then we want to add this on click handler to this top level div with the class name toggle here. So on click, let's pass that on click in there. And also when we pass a toggled prop to the toggle component, So if toggled is true, we want to add a new class to the toggle class, and we're going to add night. So let's just write it out here. So if toggled, we want to add night here. Otherwise, we just don't add any other style to the toggle component. So then let's pass both of these props to the toggle component from app.js. In here, let's go const. We're going to use state here now then. So we'll have toggled and set toggled. Set that equal to react.useState, and the default state or the initial state will be false. So it's not going to be toggled, which means it's going to be in the day mode when we first load the app. So let's pass toggled to the toggle component as well as on click. And we want to pass handle click and actually create this handle click then. Let's go const handle click. And then within the handle click then we want to set toggled based on the previous state. We just want to invert that value that the previous state was. So if the previous state was true, we're just inverting it to false. If the previous state was false, we're just inverting it to true. So this is how we can just toggle between true and false for our toggled state. Okay, so obviously nothing's going to happen now then in the browser when we click on this, but let's load up the console, or not the console, but the inspector of the HTML. So let's inspect the HTML here. Let's zoom in a bit, and we can see we've got notch here. As soon as we click on this toggle component, we can see we've got, sorry, not notch, we're looking at the toggle class here. We can see we've got the night class as well as the toggle class. Click it again, and we no longer have that night class. So let's create then some night styles for the night class. Let's go back to the code. And first of all, one thing I noticed, we want to add to this toggle, we want to add a cursor of pointer so the user knows we can actually click on this component. And yeah, okay, let's actually target then. Let's create some night styles for the night version of our toggle. And the most obvious one to begin with is changing that background color of the toggle. So let's go toggle night, and we want the background image to be, actually I'm just going to copy this. So we want the background image still to be linear gradient, but instead of these light colors, we want midnight blue and Rebecca purple. So then there we go. So we can see we've got toggle night here. So we've already changed that background color. Change it again or click the toggle again and it goes back to the blue. So then let's add styles for the notch then. We want to change that to, let's go notch, and actually let's go dot night and target dot notch. And then we want, what do we want? We want the background. Let's copy that. And we want the box shadow also, but we just want to change these colors. So let's give it white smoke. And again, for the box shadow as well, white smoke. So let's take a look in the browser. And there we go. We've got our moon now. And again, flipping between the two. So let's shift this then to the right-hand side. So the notch then, we will also want to have a transform translate, and we want it to move across by 100 pixels and nothing from the vertical axis. So we just want to move it 100 pixels horizontally, and there we go. So it's already applied, and if we click it, there we go. We can see it's switching from the original position and 100 pixels across. And let's actually then, I want to add, because we don't want it to just flip straight away like that. We want to add some transition. So let's just, to the notch then, let's add a transition of all 0.3 seconds and ease. And there we go. We've got that nice easing there for the toggle. So then now for the night mode, let's change these shapes or the clouds or whatever. We want to change them into smaller actual circles and give them a sort of star-like appearance. So back in the code, let's target these shapes. Let's go down here. Let's target the shapes in night mode. So let's go night and shape.sm. We want to change the height to 5 pixels, the width to 5 pixels, and transform translate 40 pixels horizontally, 0 vertically. And actually, no, we want minus 40 pixels. So we want to shift it to the left by 40 pixels. So let's take a look in the browser. And there we go. We can see this shape here actually changes to that small dot there. And if you remember, we actually have two of exactly the same small shape here. So they're stacked on top of each other right now. But because we actually only want 3 clouds, so let's take a look in the browser. We only want 3 clouds here, but when we go to night mode, we want an extra small star. So that's why we've got 2 small shapes. So let's target those small shapes individually then. And also, again, we want to add to, let's scroll up to shape here. We want to add a transition of 0.3 seconds and ease. And we want to target all properties. So then let's take a look then. We can see that cloud then moves to the left-hand side and also changes shape. So we want to then target, if we scroll down to the night. So let's go night again and target.shape.sn, but we want first of type. So we want to target that first small shape. And we just want to add a transform translate of something different here. So let's go minus 80 to the left. So we're going to go 80 pixels to the left and let's go 10 pixels up. So minus 10 pixels vertically means we're going to shift it 10 pixels up from its current position. So let's take a look at that. And there we go. We can already see it. So we've gone 80 pixels to the left, which is an extra 40 pixels from this current position. So there we go. We can see, looks pretty nice. All we need to do then is target the large and medium ones, doing exactly the same method here. .night.shape.md. We want a height of 10 pixels, a width of 10 pixels, and let's copy this transform translate. Let's move it 10 pixels to the right-hand side and 0 on the vertical axis. And let's just copy this then and target the shape.lg. We want a height of 15, width of 15, and let's give it a minus 10 pixels. So we're going to shift it 10 pixels to the left. And let's take a look in the browser. And there we go. We've got our stars. Looking pretty cool. So let's add a little bit of box shadow then. So it looks like the stars are glowing a bit. And we want it to apply to all of the shapes in night mode. So let's go up here. Actually, let's go here and let's go .night.shape and let's give it a box shadow of 0, 0, 10 pixels, 2 pixels, and violet. Also, we want to give the shapes a background color of light gray. So let's take a look at that then. And there we go. We've got that nice sort of glowing on the stars. So the last thing I can think of now is creating those craters on the moon. So we just need to add a couple more divs and we're good to go then. So in the toggle then, within the notch, so within the notch class here, let's add a div class name of crater and let's duplicate that div then. So we want 2 craters and let's target those crater classes then in style.css. Let's go up to the top here for the notch. So let's go .notch.crater and we want to give it a background of some sort of light brown. So let's go burly wood. We want to give it a border radius of 50%, a position of absolute, and a box shadow of 0, 5 pixel, 5 pixel, RGBA, 0, 0, 0, 0.4, and inset. So that's going to give the kind of illusion that it's a crater. It's going to look a little bit like a crater with this sort of inset box shadow. So we need to give different heights and positions and things for each crater. So we want to target first the first crater. So let's go crater first child. Let's give it a left of 5 pixels, a top of 15, a height of 15, a width of 40 pixels, and a transform of rotate 45 degrees. let's take a look at this bad boy. And there we go. We've got our crater. And this should probably be actually minus 45 degrees. So it's minus 45 degrees, that bad boy. And there we go. Our first crater is in place. So then we're going to touch these craters up in... well, that sounded a bit weird. We're going to change these craters slightly after we create the second crater. So let's create that second crater first. Create that second crater first. Say that 5 times fast. Okay, so let's then create that second crater first. Let's go last child here. So crater last child. Let's give it a height of 10 pixels, a top of 15 pixels, a cheeky height of 15 pixels, a width of 25 pixels, and again a transform rotate, but this one is actually going to be 45 degrees. Looking pretty good, if I may say so myself, but the problem is we've got the crater on the sun, which obviously we don't want. We've only got 2 steps left, and then we are done with this toggle component. This video's gone on really long, actually. I didn't think it was going to go on this long. And if you've watched it this far, what are you doing? Get out of the house. Why are you still watching this video? Okay, no, I'm actually joking. Please subscribe. And let's finish these last 2 steps then. Scroll up to the top here for the notch. No, not the notch. What are we looking at? The craters. So for the craters, we want an opacity of 0 as a default opacity. And then we just need to target night.crater and give it an opacity of 0.4. And then there we go. So we've got opacity 0 for the day or for the default state. And then boom, we've got a 0.4 opacity for the night state. And this is how we can create a really simple React toggle component. This is probably the best looking thing I've created in my entire front end career. And I'm going to end the video here. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.